Hello friends, I hope everyone is holding up well in this weird time. Today I have a sort of different video for you. It's a Q&A essentially. It's called the Costube Tag, and it was actually made up by a friend of mine called Alicia Estelle, and she's a cosplayer and a costuber. She has an amazing channel where she outlines and shows you every detail of how she builds her cosplays. But a lot of the things that she does in her cosplays are techniques that are available to all kinds of different costumers. So I would definitely recommend going to give her channel a check out. She is just the nicest person. She lives in Australia and she makes the most beautiful Disney princess costumes. So choice. Anyway, I have a list of the questions here on my phone, so I will be looking at my phone from time to time. There are 32 questions. Some of the answers I've actually answered in previous videos, like FAQ type videos. I will link the playlist of Q&A videos down below for you so that you can check those out if you want to. I will answer these but like sort of breeze past them. Okay, the first question is, what is your channel's name and what is the story behind it? My channel's name is Costuming Drama. The story behind it is it's a play on costume drama, and also I don't really have that much drama in my life, but the only drama that I do have is related to costuming. Like, it's always me going like, fucking sleeve. So yeah. When and why did you start costuming? I started costuming a very long time ago. I think I wanted to go to the Ren Fair and I made a medieval gown. So not actually appropriate for that venue, but whatever. And it was like velvet, but the Ren Fair happens here when it's like 110 degrees outside, so like heavy cotton velvet was not the way it was a mess. It was a hot mess, but it was kind of a pretty dress. But the inside, I remember my sewing machine was dying, so the inside between like the lining and the outside of it was just balls of thread that were just matted up because like the bobbin wasn't timed correctly and I was too stupid to figure out why that was happening, so I just kept going. There's probably like 3 extra spools of thread in there. How did you get into making YouTube videos? Actually, I had a channel before this. Most people know it's linked down below all the time. It was a makeup channel. I can't recommend it. It's kind of a hot mess also. But I was really into the makeup scene. I still am. I have a massive makeup collection, despite the fact that I'm never wearing any. I do love makeup. I think it's super fun to do and play with and whatever, but it's not something I wear in the day-to-day. Anyway, I had a makeup channel that I ran for about 3 years, so that's how I got started on YouTube. And then I got sort of disenchanted by the makeup channels and how sort of rude people are to each other is probably the best way to put it. And I found this community to be so much more welcoming and enjoyable, so I decided to make videos for costuming. What is your usual genre of costume? My usual genre of costume is either historical or cosplay. Like, I do kind of both, and usually even when I'm historically costuming, I'm making some sort of random cosplay reference or like a crossover sort of reference where I'll do like Victorian Iron Man, for example. That sort of thing. I use inspiration from sort of nerd culture characters to make my historical cosplays. Like the ball gown, I can't even just make a ball gown. It has to be inspired by something, and it's Good Omens, so yeah. How many costumes have you made? God, I have no idea. A lot. I've made so many that I've gotten even rid of most of them. I actually am a culler of costumes. If I haven't worn it in a while or I don't feel like I'm going to, I send it off to someone else who will wear it. I have a couple friends who like to dress up people. Like, they keep a costume warehouse on hand essentially in their house, and so when people need a costume for something, they have a bunch of options, so I send those clothes over to them. What was your first costume? My first costume was that hideous medieval monstrosity. I don't even think I have pictures of it. I think I think I must have been like 20. It was probably 20 years ago. Which costume is your favorite or biggest accomplishment? Probably I would have to say the Iron Man costume was my biggest accomplishment because it pushed me the hardest to get better at something I had never tried before. Like, I'd made one bustle dress before that, and it pushed me in so many different ways that it's my favorite for that reason. Also, it's like the first time when I made something and I felt like, yeah, did it. This is the one. It's finished, it's good, everything about it is awesome, I'm into it. Which of your costumes do you like the least? Probably my Cheshire Cat costume, largely because it's not really finished. And I don't really know how to finish it or if I'm going to finish it. So that sort of thing, as like people would, my friends who are hoo-hoo about this stuff would tell me that's the Capricorn inside me, just like, oh, it's not done. So yeah, it's not that I don't like the costume, it's that it's not done and I don't know how to make it done, so it's really annoying to me. What is your favorite local place to go shopping for fabric and or other costuming materials? I live in San Jose, so my favorite local place doesn't exist. Like, honestly, I want to go to LA and go to the fabric district, and most of the time that is what I do. I just go fabric shopping 3 or 4 times a year, and I do it when I'm in LA anyway. I come from Southern California, so I go down there frequently. I also have a Disneyland season pass and stuff, so I'm down there all the time. So I go to the fabric district more than is healthy for a human being, which is why I have a massive stash. Locally, I would say Fabrics R Us. I would say Discount Fabrics isn't local to me because it's all the way up in Berkeley and there's one in San Francisco. Those are both an hour away from me. But I would definitely go back to there to get fabric because it's good and it's cheap and it's like having one store from the LA fabric district up here. All of those are. But yeah, there's not a lot of stuff that I would like say is my favorite because that's not what I would do. I would definitely go to LA. I would drive the 5 hours. What is your favorite online store for purchasing fabric and or other costuming supplies? Like most people, I would say Burnley and Trowbridge or Renaissance Fabrics. I go to corsetsupplies.com, which is, I look up Delicious LLC corsets, and that takes me to corsetsupplies.com or whatever, and that's where I get all my corseting supplies, boning, stuff like that, tape. I prefer to buy it in person if I possibly can. I don't love buying stuff online. I will buy supplies largely long before I will buy fabric because I can't touch it, I can't see it, I don't know what the color actually is because it's on a monitor, so that's not really my jam. There are a whole bunch of sites that I go to, like Fabric Mart and fabric.com and onlinefabricstore.com and all those kind of things to get fabric, but they're not like my favorites either. I would always love to go get it in person if I can, and I kind of have that luxury, so I do it because I can. Commercial patterns, self-drafted pattern, or winging it? Commercial patterns. And I don't mean like the big four, I mean patterns like Truly Victorian or Lynn McMaster's patterns for hats or Laughing Moon pattern. I'm a pattern girl by trade. Like, I like instructions, I like patterns. I have fudged the patterns before and like messed with them to change them to get them what I want, but I don't really drape and I don't really pattern draft yet. What is your favorite or most used pattern? Probably the Truly Victorian underskirts pattern or some of their skirts patterns, because I will just make all my skirts out of that same pattern because they're like very versatile and you can use them for almost any period and just like cut off more or less of the hem that you need to for whatever you need. So probably that. I don't usually reuse patterns too often, but those are ones that I go to a lot. Hand sewing, machine, or both? I would definitely say sewing machine, 100%. I don't really love hand sewing. I've like talked about this a bunch, but I am trying to force myself to get better at it, and I will say that I will do what is appropriate for whatever it is. Like if I'm making a cosplay or something, I am gonna machine sew that entire thing until I absolutely can, and I will hand stitch only the things I must. If I'm doing a historically based thing, I will probably hand sew more of it than would normally be necessary, just because I like the look of whatever it is. But even then I kind of call it necessary because it's the look you're going for, right? Do you use thrifted or vintage fabrics, and what are you always on the lookout for when you go thrifting? I don't thrift that often. Most of the thrift stores around me aren't really geared towards fabric. They have a lot of upholstery weight or sort of like what I would call tired sheets and stuff, which you absolutely can use for muslins, and if you don't have a lot of money, that's absolutely what I would say you should go get to make muslins with. But they're not something I want to make a final garment out of, and I usually have enough muslin that I will actually just make my my muslins, my mock-ups out of actual muslin or whatever. Thrift stores aren't really a place I like to go a lot, largely because I have a lot of allergies and they really kick my allergies off. Like, I feel very uncomfortable. I'm very like stuffy, sneezy, like I kind of just want to get out of here every time I'm in a thrift store. I guess it's probably all the dust in there. So it's not a place that I go very often. What are your favorite fabrics to work with and why? Silk taffeta. Like, who doesn't want everything made out of silk taffeta? I'm getting to the point where I'm probably going to start loving wool because I have a bunch of it and I'm starting to use it. I'm also working a lot with linen lately, and I didn't think I would love linen, and I kind of do. I love the sound it makes. I love the way it feels. It's kind of a crisp fabric. I like that. I don't like how much ironing I have to do with it, but it's kind of worth it. Have you revamped any old costumes? If so, what did you do to give them new life? Not really. Like, I don't do that very often. I think the closest I came was the polonaise that I finished finally. It was more that it wasn't done. I had worn it a bunch of times without it being completely finished and trimmed and stuff, but I decided to give it trim. I would say more trim, but I meant just trim. Like, I decided to give it trim, and it looks so much better now. And so when you revamp costumes, that's like one of the things that you can do that just changes the entire gown, is just to trim it like differently. Take the trim off, put new trim on, add more trim, all that. How has costuming affected your everyday life, i.e. history bounding? So I'm a weirdo and I don't really history bound. I am probably going to start in that I realized the other day I don't wear skirts. I'm a jeans and a t-shirt kind of girl. But I was thinking about long skirts and I was like, wait a minute. That's like being allowed to go publicly pantsless with like a blanket around you. So I do have a few walking skirts that I might start wearing more often because I feel like those might be weirdly more comfortable in some circumstances. I have a 2-story house, which means I'm walking up and down stairs, and my stairs are wood. I don't have any carpet in my house. So walking up and down stairs with long skirts on kind of sucks. So it's probably one of the reasons I don't do it very often, but I might give it a go and see how that goes. So it hasn't really affected my life that much, other than I spend all my time and money doing it. What part of costume making do you dread the most? I don't love cutting. I don't love putting on closures. I don't love sleeves. I don't like having to hand sew like tons of stuff. Those are the things I dread. Chris is my husband and he's always asking me like, what about this do you actually love? Because you complain through the entire thing. I'm like, well, I love the pictures, actually. What is your favorite part about creating a costume? I really love the pictures. I love seeing my vision actually come to life, and like when I successfully accomplish it, it's that feeling of like, yes, I did this and I made this, and it feels good to like have a picture in my mind because I don't draw either, so I never sketch. I don't do any of the things that everybody else seems to do. I just have it in my mind and it's there and it's pretty clear, and when it happens to come out properly, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And that's my favorite part. So essentially my favorite part is being done. What is your favorite entertainment while you're working on something? I really like listening to audiobooks. I talk about them all the time. I tell you guys what I'm listening to constantly. I am into audiobooks. I also will watch movies occasionally, or like listen to movies, but only movies I know really well and I have in my heart, so I don't have to watch them. Like, I watch a lot of Marvel movies. I watch Harry Potter a lot. I will watch Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. Like, I've seen these enough that I don't need to like look at what's going on because it's in my head anyway. But I would strongly prefer an audiobook to most of those things most of the time. How many hours per week do you work on making things? That totally depends. It depends on if I have a job or not. If I have a job, I probably spend somewhere between 10 and 20 hours a week doing stuff, because I'll usually do stuff like one day on the weekend and some of the evenings. Right now I'm off of work, so I can spend much more time doing that. And like, there have been weeks where I have done 60 hours doing, I think I probably spent 60 hours making masks last week. So it totally depends. I'm usually making something, and if I'm not making something, I'm up here filming something like this, so I'm still sort of making something. How long does it usually take you to complete a costume? So my average is somewhere around 100 hours. It depends on what the costume is, obviously. It depends on how much work has to go into it. Iron Man took about 120 hours. Most bustle dresses take about that. If I have to make a corset for it, it takes longer because that adds 40 hours to the mix. So just sort of depends. Yes, it really does take me 40 hours to make a corset. I don't know why. I keep trying to tell you guys I'm slow. Where's your favorite place to take photos in your costume? I don't know, because I only have bad photos in my costume until I went to Lori's studio and took photos with Lynn. So Lori's studio? I've only done that once, so it can't, I mean, I guess it can be my favorite. It is kind of right now. I am planning on looking around my neighborhood for more outdoor locations to take photos in and stuff like that during this time, because at least my husband can take photographs. Although he's not really a people photographer, he's sort of a landscape photographer, but hopefully we will develop a sense together to get some good photos taken. But yeah, Lori's studio was pretty bomb. Like those photos turned out really well. Summer or winter costumes? I would prefer winter costumes because I think they're prettier, but I have to basically make summer costumes at all times because I live in California and it's like always warm here, and the only other thing we get is rain, and I am not making costumes for rain. I just don't wear them. Like, that's why I don't dress up for the Dickens Fair, because it is always raining when I go to the Dickens Fair, and I'm not going to walk around. The parking lot walk is so far from the door. I'm not walking around in my silk dresses, like, to go to the door of that. So, yeah. What are your favorite colors to work with? Oh, I love every color. Like, I love colors. I love them a lot. My favorite color is red. It's kind of a burgundy color red, so, but I love all colors. I will wear anything. What are you currently working on? This hat, which will someday be done. What is your next project? I will probably make the ball gown bodice that I have been threatening to make and made the mock-up for and stuff. It's probably time that I just get on that and get it done. What is your ultimate dream costume? I'm just gonna put a picture of it here. It's the red one, the red and gray one. It's so pretty. There's someone who actually made it already, and they did such a good job. It's so beautiful. I just, like, I was in love. And so I chose that as my like dream costume before I saw that she made it, but man, she did a bang up job on it. I really hope I could do as good of a job someday when I decide to tackle it. Do you have any other hobbies? Are they more significant than costuming? Yeah, I got a lot of hobbies actually. I'm, like I said, into makeup and that community. I travel a lot, like a lot. So that is more significant than costuming. I spend more of my time traveling and getting ready to travel and doing the stuff that I need to do for travel than I do actually costuming. I'm super into Disney. I do jigsaw puzzles with some of my friends. Like, I play Nintendo games with them. I have lots and lots of hobbies. Costuming is a pretty big part of it, but it's not by any standard the most significant. What is your favorite thing about costume? Like, it's you guys. Like, I love the community. The people in Costube are amazing. They're so supportive and kind and generous and loving, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. They have, like, touched my heart in such a way I can't even describe. I would do anything for them. Like, I love it. I love the people who follow me on my channel. I love the people who talk to me in the comments. Like, I think it's amazing how kind and generous and thoughtful you guys all are, and honestly, it's the best thing. Like, it's just heartwarming. And then the last question is, which 3 Costubers will you tag? All right, I'm gonna tag Marika from Enchanted Rose Costumes because we're supposed to do someone we personally know, someone from a different country. So I'm gonna say Kat from Cat is in the Bag. And then someone new. She's not new by any standards, but I'm gonna tag Marty from Scraps and Sequins because she's awesome and I love her. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tag video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll be back with you shortly, hopefully, with a finished cap. It really just needs to be sewn in and trimmed, and then it's done. So, coming soon, I promise. I swear I'm actually working on this now. Have a great day, guys. Bye.